Hello, I am Frederica, and this is Thinking Free with Frederica. So, we're on today to have a continued conversation around ourselves, literally, around the things that make us who we are, maybe some things that you've heard before, maybe some things that you haven't. This is a part four of a continued conversation. So if you'd like, you can go back and watch the first three parts so that this part may have just a little bit more meat in it for you. You can start here or you can go back and watch the other parts of getting to know your inner world. So here, just to do a quick recap, we have been looking at parts of the soul through a model called Internal Family Systems, AFS for short. It doesn't have anything to do with your family of origin, who you're born into in a direct way. Indirectly, it does. But directly, it is talking about you and your internal experience. So for me, just a little bit about me, I am coming into the awareness and knowledge of this model a few years ago. However, I am coming into application of it in my own life and working with other people to gain clarity and understanding through it as well. And so I would also like to share with you, those who are new to Thinking Free with Frederica, this channel, that I am a licensed professional here in the state of Texas, licensed mental health professional. I'm not your therapist, but I am a therapist. So this is not therapeutic advice. It's great information that you can do with it what you will. And if you want, you can connect with a therapist in your area to talk through some things that you are finding out and that are coming up for you, or just to get some clarity around any thoughts that you may have. So let's dive on in a little bit deeper. We have talked about the different parts of the soul. We've talked about protector parts. And if you remember, those two protector parts, one is the manager and the other is the firefighter. The manager has a very specific job of working to keep us from experiencing pain, and that it does that through things like worrying, self-criticizing, people pleasing, striving, controlling, perfecting, those kinds of things. And maybe even lying, people just lie for no reason. But that reason is there, and sometimes it is to prevent what it sees as pain. And so the other protector part in our system, according to IFS, is the firefighter. So firefighters don't come to your house and just be waiting for the fire to start, do they? I don't think so, unless you live with a firefighter. But most of the time, firefighters come when there is an actual fire, when they've been called, and they come with sirens blazing. They got the water already, ready. The hose is ready to extinguish the fire, and they don't aim the hose at the top where the smoke is. They aim it at the bottom where the core, or the origin of the fire is, to help extinguish it. So the firefighter's job in our system is, when we start experiencing pain, that it comes in to try to soothe it, to try to calm it, to try to help it go away. And sometimes those behaviors can look like overeating, addictions, overspending, some daydreaming type behaviors, lashing out, yelling and screaming, just discharging anger everywhere because you're feeling something internally, or even some of those self-harming behaviors that many of us, may not necessarily feel as comfortable talking about, but they're real deal. Whether that is self-harm through cutting, through things. And so there is a reason why those things are happening, and sometimes it is to alleviate internal pain. So I want to be able to, give a little bit of voice to that, to let you know that maybe some of the ways that you've been talked to about it may be limiting, and here's another way to look at it. The last part that we've talked about thus far is the exile part. And the exile part is a part of our soul's makeup that holds those painful experiences for us, that holds those painful memories, and is oftentimes stuck in the past, holding things like shame and fear and insecurity, loneliness, sadness, and hurt. And because it's got to go somewhere. Energy in and energy out, right? And so when we experience that wounding from, that emotional wounding from someone calling us names or a traumatic event, then our body took it in certain ways and held on to that experience, held on to that energy, and is looking to you to help it release it, to help it relieve it. And so if it doesn't, it just holds that, and then the protectors get in front of it to try to help you experience it less and less. But it can do that protecting in some extreme ways, which can bring about some behaviors and thoughts, thinking styles that really do need to be adjusted. Not because they're not helpful, but the way that they're helping can be limiting to the way that you want to live your life. And who wants to, be stressing and struggling, right? So the last part that we're going to talk about is our core self, our spirit-led self, as a also as one who offers Christian faith-based supports. That I look at the spirit-led self. This is our spirit, our internal, our core self, as designed by God, and that is led by the Spirit of God. And our spirit has some core attributes. The spirit-led self is creative, it has clarity, it's compassionate, confident, and curious. So when we experience the connection to our spirit-led self, what happens is we experience greater levels of calm. Why are we calm? Well, because we know that we're connected to our source, and that part of us, the firefighter part or the exile part or the manager part, can connect with the spirit-led self and be led by our spirit, the self that is most connected or is connected to God, our creator, our source. And then those extreme ways in which the managers and firefighters and exiles are trying to help us, they decrease. So when a part of us is leading, like a manager part is leading, then we find ourselves being self-critical and needing to relax the conversation that we have with ourselves. And so one of the ways that we can do that is to get curious with that part of us. So what is helping us to experience that self-critical energy and have those thoughts? Like, what is that job? What is the self-critical part trying to accomplish with what it is doing? And so when we can connect with that part with more curiosity, with more of a willingness to seek to understand and calmness, then generally we start to relax, we start to get to know ourselves more, we start to build greater trust with ourselves to handle harder conversations internally and externally, and things just get a lot easier in life in general. Because if you have an internal battle going on, anything on the outside is extra. Okay, they getting all your blowback from that unhealed conversation that's going on the inside. So let's look at a couple of the things that ways that Julia, I believe, Sullivan, and the IFS Institute determined the definitions for some of these attributes or characteristics of being more God-led self, being in more of our God-led self, or being self-led. So the first one is calmness. And calmness is, I'm going to read it so I'll make sure that I get it right. So the first definition here we see is serenity, regardless of the circumstances, and two, the ability to react to triggers in your environment in less automatic and extreme ways. Will you react to things in your environment? Yes. But do you have to react to them with in a self-critical way, in a people-pleasing kind of way, in a lashing out kind of way? No, you don't gotta do that. You, so when you get to know what's going on internally, when you can approach it with a level of calm, then you'll start to see the results here. And the last one we're going to look at on this call, this video today, is curiosity. And the curiosity is said as a strong desire to know or learn something new about a topic. Not the things that you already know. If you already call yourself a critical person, we don't even, yeah, that ain't new information. What could be new is for you is what being critical in a certain situation is targeted to do for you. That may be new. It may be new to get curious about the energy that's created and how comfortable you are being that way over the way that you actually desire to be received. And so curiosity is a great help. Another way to look at curiosity is learning or something new about a situation or a person or a topic in a non-judgmental way. So you're not negatively categorizing what you find out or something that's showing up. You're being very open and observing, kind of like a scientist. You're not judging it, you're just getting the data. What does the data say? What does the data speak to? And then lastly, to have a sense of wonder about the world and how things work. You get to like just be just take in information. You get to look at things in a lot of different ways. You get to be observant. You get to allow yourself to relax in the moment and just explore. So get to kind of, if we want to look at it, be a kid at something that they've never done before. They got questions, they got wonders, they're not judging it. They're just asking and trying to find out more information. And then later on, they'll get to, maybe determine whether or not that's an experience they want to do again or how they would like to do it differently the next time. So this is, again, that fourth part of the system, the spirit-led self, us at our core makeup, the most grounded, the most secure, the secure part of us that is connected to the Spirit of God and as led by the Spirit of God. When our spirit-led self is leading, then all the other parts come in alignment and we start to experience more ease, more self-trust, more confidence, and a higher esteem. And that is the belief about ourselves, or the belief about ourselves and perception of ourselves changes when we have a balanced and a harmonious relationship internally. And so, again, this is Frederica with Thinking Free with Frederica. I hope this information today helps you think more free, feel more freely, and to experience the life created for you. Have a wonderful day.